Bonsoir. Hello, everyone. It's Pedro Apollos here. Hi, Chichi.
Hello.
What a pleasure to have you again tonight.
It's nice showing up.
How is everything going?
We are doing great. Thank you. And you?
I'm doing absolutely well. The last time I spoke with you was during the summer before I went for my summer holiday, going back all the way
Yes.
to Africa. How has life
Yes.
been generally?
We've been fantastic here. Thank you. Thank you.
Pa-
Thank
Perfect.
you. I don't need to ask about your Nigerian experience because I saw it. I followed
It
you and it
It
was
was a
great.
great, it was a great one, and special thanks to Collis Kind. He treated me well, and he gave me
Yes.
some suits that fit perfectly well on my body, and beside that, for those that may not know, I am one of those men that in Nigeria, colloquial, they will say gayoyo. I have a little pot belly. I'm juppy. I'm the life of the party. So I have things like they say in my contest in Nigeria, things for others to play with. So for him to be able to have got something that fit perfectly well with my body, it was a great thing. So thanks to Collis Kind. If you see this video, this is a
Shout
special
out
thanks
to
to you.
him. Yes.
Yes. Good, 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 good. Well, welcome back to our show, and we've been doing this episode. This is the third episode concerning betrayal and trust issues. And
Mm.
I'm happy to have with us today in the studio Madam Chichi Igwe, family coach, family and relationship coach, financial expert. And I encourage each and every one of you to watch her show. And my special regards to her husband. I have never bothered. I don't know I mean his name. I would have been shouting out his name, but if you have seen Chichi Igwe's podcast, you know exactly whom I'm talking about. I like his spirit. I like the funny aspect and everything he brings to it. It is not easy to find couples that are this united and they actually do things together. If Madam Chichi Igwe do not know, I want to say special thanks to her husband tonight, and I'm happy that he's actually contributing his part to that podcast. What do you think about that, Chichi? Let's be honest before we go over to our topic tonight. How do you
I'm
even convince your husband to do this with you?
I'm prompted to say no comment. I don't but well, I don't know what to make of it because I think he plays too much about what we are doing then, but maybe I'm the one that is too serious about it, and people maybe need some kind of fun side of things to balance up. So yeah.
That is, it is necessary. It is absolutely necessary. We want to have fun, and that is one thing about us podcasters. Some of us that do podcasting, because some topic are actually very important to us. Preparing for an episode, all the things that you have to do. For those that are not actually in this field, they might think that you just get a camera and a microphone, you start speaking. There is a lot of work behind it. You have to do some research. You can't just be ordinary about it. And at times, we tend to be too serious than it is necessary, even for our audience. So him being able to bring that funny part to your podcast and everything, I can guarantee you it is what a lot of people want to see. They listen to everything that you talk about, the topics and everything. And Tiasha like that aspect a lot as a person, and every other person that I have asked. I want to wear for you, Madam Chichi. I really want that podcast to be among the top in that particular category, and that is where it is going already. So just like I do for myself, I ask people, what do you think about this? How do you say about it? So they gave me a huge recommendation about the participation of your husband. So if you don't know, this is a little research that Pedro Polot podcast did on your behalf, and it is
Oh,
something really, really
okay.
great.
That is
Kudos to
something.
him and
That's
try.
something to reflect on. That's thank you.
You should do that because that
Yeah.
is what I got
Okay.
out of it. Even when I was in Nigeria,
Oh,
I was not available and I asked everybody that could be able to watch and give their feedback to because you have supported me a lot as a person in my journey and everything. So I want to be able to do the same for you as well.
thank you.
Going back, coming back to us on the topic of today, Madam Chichin, for the past 3 weeks, I have been doing this episode based on betrayal and trust issues. Some of us, things happen in our life, and it took some of us a long time that is far longer than what an average person might even consider that is needed for one to get healed and move on about some aspect in our life. But it taught me some things as well. Today, I now know that as a person, some things could happen in our life and it could take an eternity, a generation, a generational period for us to be able to or go over them or overcome them personally. So, what am I trying to say? That the issue of betrayal, being betrayed by those that we held in high esteem, could be very detrimental to us as human beings, as citizens of a particular or if of a given society, or generally in life, because most people don't talk about these things because it means you washing your dirty laundry in the public. It means you showing your vulnerability. And as a result, most people don't talk about it. So when we decide to come up with this particular topic, we have to reflect about our personal life as a person and those that we really care about. How can we, for a fact, discuss issues like this that may make some people that know us so well think that we are talking about them? And that is a position that you don't want to be as a family member or as a friend. But however, this discussion needs to be had. We need to talk about this because a lot of people are going through some things, not necessarily from the larger society, but things that happen to them from people that they trust, that they really believed that they would have protected their personal interest when the opportunity arises. But unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. And reflecting on these things, I had to look at my religious aspect, the religious aspect of my life as a person. And I am very big on forgiveness for anyone that has known me over the years or that have watched this podcast and the rest. I'm very big on forgiveness. But reflecting on things, seeing the way things has gone over some time in my personal life and the stories I have heard or with what I have noticed in our society, I am being forced to believe or to be of the opinion that not everything that we can forgive as a human being. I am not God. I accept my vulnerability. I accept my shortcomings and I am mortal as a person. I now believe today that not everything that I can easily forgive. So, with that being said, if I don't know about your experience as a family coach, as a relationship expert, as a financial expert, and every other thing that you do in your experience, I first of all, I'm very happy that you give me the time to be here today. And this question personally is important to me. And I do believe there is no other person that I can ask the question to other than yourself, Madam Chichi. Do you genuinely believe, taking into consideration your experience, do you genuinely believe that we can forgive everything in life, especially when those that we genuinely love and care for, those that we entrust our well being into their hand by virtue of their relationship to us, like a husband or a wife, a family member, a dear brother or a sister? when they betray us, can we really forgive them? Before you answer, you give your opinion concerning this, I want to give you an example. There is a case recently of in a couple. They've been married for the past 25 years. They have children that are in their 20s. At the one is 22, the other is 18. It just happened recently that this man, he lives in the diaspora. He wants to bring these two of his children down here to the country where I live here in Italy. And for you to do family reunion visa of that nature, the Italian embassy require that you do DNA test. The man, it is not as if that he wanted to do DNA test to know if these children are his children, but for the fact that he wants to break them, it is what is required in the family reunion visa. They did the test, and it happens to turn out that neither of the children, the two children that he has taken care of, he sent to private university and everything in Nigeria, he has worked all his life to take care of, none of them belongs to him. It became an issue, and the lady has to confess that it is their security guard, the relationship that she had with the security guard, that led to the bearing of those children. That is just one example. This is a real life example I'm bringing down today for you to be able to know exactly why I am so focused on this issue of forgiveness. That is one. It has also happened of there was a friend of mine while growing up back in the days in Nigeria. He was a very dear friend of mine. The We didn't know, or we were not aware that he has an elder sister that his mom gave birth to another man. Not until the mom died and we were having the funeral, on a particular night when we were having the funeral, that a particular young lady came and said that she was the elder sister to the to this friend of mine. And that was something that the family was not aware of until that particular night. And the man, as we speak, 3 years after died, he became a drunkard and everything. He never recovered from it. So why am I saying this? I am not here to watch the dirty linen of everybody that I know, but I'm just using this as a case study to guide our discussion today. Although be very big on forgiveness, in a situation like this, can we really, in all honesty, religious or non-religious, really forgive when either our husband or our wife has betrayed us in this nature?
Okay, I will start by saying that I'm really, really kind of, it's sad. You can't deny the fact that these are very sad stories. And in whatever capacity that betrayal of trust is done, is a very sad situation. And it's one of the, I mean, we are relational beings,
Yes.
and relationship has to include trust for it to be smooth sailing. And so it is something that you can't separate from human relationship. Now, when it is breached, it's like a violation. It's just the same way that someone can say you violated this person, because it has taken away what is their stronghold away. So it's really sad. I'm really, really sorry to hear all of those. And you can imagine how the people that are betrayed feel. It's not as though we have not been betrayed one way or the other in our lives. Everybody at some point may have been betrayed, but certain types affect certain areas of our lives that seem to be huge, and it becomes a thing. But having said that, I dare to say that it is forgivable. Forgiveness is possible at every given time in life. And it's not actually what you do for the other person. Forgiveness is what you do for yourself. It's less of other people. It's more about you. Because what you are doing when you are forgiving is that you are releasing yourself from the hurt and the resentments. So is resentment, yes, completely, like maybe 50% out of it, 80%, the hurt. There is a part of it that you release yourself from, but there is a part that stays and goes with time. And so when you are hurt by someone that you truly trusted, especially when they are family, say it's your
Mm-hmm.
husband, your wife, your girlfriend, or your partner, your sibling, your parents, your children, all of those are like close family. It hurts more than when it is a stranger. In fact, it hurts more than when it is a business partner that did
Mm-hmm.
that to you. And so you have to tactically approach it. But I would say, in approaching it, you have the right to feel hurt, you have the right to feel the pain, you have the right to express anger and whatever you express. But you need to think of yourself. And as ironically as it sounds, in thinking about yourself, is making room for forgiveness, because that's the gift you give to yourself in all of that situation. It's not about them, it's more about you. And once you start the process of forgiveness, and that brings me to say that it is not something that you rush into or that happens just overnight. So if you have had this saying that I will forgive, but I won't forget, that's the angle that people are coming from. That's the kind of thing they are trying to say, but sometimes it's misunderstood. It means that you really don't have to overnight forget what happened, but you don't have to carry it to the point that it destroys you or kills you, because it has the capacity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Unforgiveness has the capacity to make you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually sick. Now, when you are sick, are you going to tell somebody to drink medicine so that you'll be well? You don't do that. So
No,
you
not at all.
that tells you that that part is your problem, and you need to sort it. That it's not actually the other person's problem. So you need to go through the process, take your time. Sometimes it takes some time before you can get to the end of the process, and but you have to follow it. And I believe that if you just think of other people, they did this, they did that, and kind of call pity party for yourself and find occasions where you will use it against them to paint them bad people, in all of that, who is suffering? You. So I will give myself the gift of forgiving them so that I will be free. In that case, I didn't get hit both sides. Yes, I'm suffering this hurt, but the other one I have let go. Yeah. So, in answering your question, I will say that there is really nothing that cannot be forgiven, but it's a process. It takes time. It shouldn't be rushed into, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because it's hard. Another thing I will say in regards to this is that I will come from the evangelical and Pentecostal perspective. And that's in a
Okay.
nutshell to say from a Christian and biblical perspective. So when I say there is really nothing you can't forgive, is
Mm,
because it is true. Because if we think about it with our own selves, we have been forgiven many times. And that's why we should extend that to other people too. Remember, I have said it's for your own sake.
mm,
Now I'm bringing it into not religion, but scripturally, that it's the same thing that it will do. When you forgive someone else, you have released yourself out of all of those hurt and the consequences, and you are free. That freedom, what it does for you, and the life it gives you, money can't buy. And that's why you owe yourself to get to that level. But the process is different, timing, duration, and
mm.
other things for everybody, depending on how people process things. And let me
Yes.
just mention that someone can just deal with the hurt and forgiveness in 1 month, and another person, 6 months down the line, they are still struggling with whether they will forgive or not forgive. Now, let me
Yeah.
tell you, sometimes there are some people that are made it to make sure that you're upset every time.
Mm-hmm.
That is just their job. And if you allow yourself to constantly be in the position where you will keep getting hurt, forgiveness
Mm.
will be so challenging, if not so difficult for you. So there are steps you have to take in order to deal with it and to be able to go through the process with success at the end of the tunnel.
At the end of
So
the day.
those things that you need to put in place, we can talk about later on. Because if you don't, what if you are supposed to forgive in 1 month and just before 3 weeks after you are hurt again? And
Good.
just before you are dealing with it, the next 1 month you are hurt again. So it becomes very challenging. But there are things you can do to avoid that situation. And maybe we can talk about them as we get on. But yes, forgiveness for anything and everything is possible. You have to go through the process. The process includes a lot of things. And just in case we forget to mention, for some people, it will require therapy. For some people, it will require spiritual help. And I mean spiritual exercises. Sometimes people, it will be just the word of God only that will be able to break the ground, and they need to go through that process. For some people, it is just other ways. But if you need time, take the time. And if you need to put boundaries, most of the time you need it, because that you have forgiven doesn't mean you condoned what that person had done. So you have to be mindful of that. Yeah.
This is really great.
Right.
And hi, Tiasha. Thanks for joining us. I'm happy that you've been able
Hi.
to join.
Well,
Yeah.
don't say thank you to me. Thanks the storm for allowing me.
I know. I know. I know. To be well, thanks to the storm. And
Yeah.
Chichi has actually given a very great explanation and or made a very important case why, despite the fact that some of us may have been wrong very badly, betrayed beyond words, that we can still be able to forgive. And there is something that I really appreciate about her case, about her explanation, is that it is not necessarily religious in nature. It has nothing to do with religion, although it is part of it for a believer. It is actually something that has to that one can attain. To be able to attain that state of forgiveness, one has to have gone through therapy and every other practical steps to get there, not necessarily because I believe or I don't believe. And this is where at times it is very confusing for some of us that are believers and some of us that are not believers. Because I know very well that as a human being, or even in my personal life per se, I was advised by my parents and everyone around me not to take things personal. Try not to take things personal. Don't let it get to you. But over the years, I have noticed that why I am being told not to take things personal, but people do things to me personally, things that affect me personally.
Mhm.
So I have always asked myself, when my mom was still alive, I have always asked her, you tell me not to take things personal, but why do they do it to me personally?
Mhm.
I can't get it. Just to explain this very simple, which to me today it's simple, partly because of my age, maturity, and everything. I will just give a very simple example. There was a time in my place of work, I have a colleague that things were not going. We had a job that we need to do together. She was not coming forthright with it. She was a little bit behind and everything. And maybe for some reasons, I was not able to handle it properly. I had to talk to her. I brought it to her knowledge like, we have to do this. This is what we need to do. We have the deadline and everything. But she felt that I spoke to her as a little child. She felt that I belittled her. And she didn't take it up with me because I am that
Mm.
type of a person. One of my problem in life, or one of the critics that anybody will have about my approach about things, that I'm very forward, I'm straightforward about things. If things are not going right away, I'm taking it up with you. I don't have to go and tell my boss, because I believe if that issue has gotten to my table, it has to be resolved, except I have no possibility of taking care of it, or it's beyond my expertise or whatsoever, that it has to go to the other table. But not everybody see things even work when it comes to a place of job like this. So she felt that I'm actually doing my best not to bringing racism into these things, because even when it became an issue, some colleague told me probably she's somebody that has never had somebody of my color or anything that is maybe higher than her in her place of work and everything, tell her this and the rest. So, but I'm trying not to banalize the things into that. But she felt some type of way. I had to go and tell my boss and everything. But here I am, like, I brought up this issue to you. You should, if you knew very well that I had spoken to you in a way that you didn't like, just as I had done on my part, you should have talked to me, then we'll iron this thing out without even, it shouldn't have left the room that we were. But the problem is that today, she still wants to be that type of a friend, lovey dovey, being free with each other and everything, some jokes and everything. I'm like, if you couldn't even take up a very simple issue like this with me, how exactly can I trust you anymore? Because for something that is this little, you went as far as getting to that extent. Why am I saying this? Is this some people, they will do you to the extent of even taking food away from you? Because if I had not done the years that I have done in my place of work, and probably other people know me better than how she painted me in that very circumstance that I got to know about, that would have been a problem to me. Imagine if I was just somebody that was less than 3 years in my place of work. I was still probably maybe on a long-term probation, if I can fit in or not. So I have to start thinking about the junior staff in my place of work and everything. This thing could be very serious than most people would think about. So can I forgive her? Yes, I have forgiven, but I have not forgotten about that experience. Can I really, really, really be free and not, and no longer be naive when it comes to her? I wish I could have a better relationship with her. Am I taking it too serious or not? I have been thinking about these things. So how do we really handle issues like this? Because at times it is not only in the family, it could be in the place of work. can I call this even misunderstanding? But I want to give a benefit of a doubt as well to myself and to her. If it was a misunderstanding, why did she take it up with me before going to my director?
I
So
I think
how do
I
you
think
deal with a thing
personally
like that?
I personally think, based on the story that you told me, if the boss or manager or whoever was above you wouldn't be involved, that issue would be taken from a completely different angle. But it felt like, the way she took it and the way she basically brought it out triggered something in you, because it's like your reputation and, your name was on the line with that as well. So I believe that this is what it was included there, and that's why you took it to that extent, because if it was just between you two, you'd be like, all right, let it go, that's it. We spoke about it, that's it. And you maybe today you wouldn't even be talking about it, but it did affect you. You know what I mean? However, I do want to
Absolutely.
add that this is just one of those things that we already spoke about. When people are told something, they take it like, oh, when you highlight something that they lack, some flaws that they have, let's say, and you point it out with a good intention, they become very defensive. And her name in that case was also on the line. So she was like, nah, forget about that. I'm going to think about myself. I'm not going to think about that guy. You know what I mean? Let me go and wash my name, not thinking the consequences this might brought. That's the way I see it, though. I think that if boss wouldn't be involved, we wouldn't be talking about this case right now.
So
Yeah.
true. You
Yeah.
hit it on the nail because my reputation, everything was on the line. And like I was,
Hmm.
I am too big for this. Can I be going back and front concerning this? Because it was even about 3 months after, not after I had come back from even from holiday, then this thing happened, I think during the spring, even before summer. And like when my boss took up the issue with me and discussed all of these things with me, and I was like, really? Did that
Yeah.
issue gone that far to that extent? And mind you, I was about my job and everything. This is not today. I know that we are doing family edition whatsoever, but mind you, our life,
Listen,
our job,
workplace,
our family,
workplace. I find it as an extended family. If you
absolutely.
look at it, the way we live today, we basically statistically spend more time with work colleagues than we do with our own families, right?
Yeah.
So they
That's the
are in a
truth.
way our extended family, and it
Good,
has a meaning in this. Anyway, just
good.
before I go any further, Chichi, I hope you are okay. Very nice to see you, and I hope you are safe and the storm is not causing you issue as it is to me, at least.
It's very huge here. I had some people who had it has caused some damages and lives. I had
Wow.
Yeah, we also lost one life here in our end, so yeah, and it's counting probably.
it's very
Wow.
huge now. You can hear the noise even from inside. So, but
Yeah,
thank
me
God.
too. I have my earpiece, but I can hear the wind from the windows, how it's hitting it. It's just crazy, man. But I do hope you
Unbelievable.
you and your husband and family are safe.
We are
So
all inside. We are here. Yeah.
good,
That's good.
good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Pedro, I would like to
Yeah.
say about what you just recounted because you're asking a rhetorical question to yourself, and I would like
Yes.
to shed some light on it. So, when you say about your relationship, whether it will still be okay,
The
and
same.
whether you can still trust her again. So, that area of how you relate with her now, and whether you can trust her again, I will say it doesn't have to be the same. So you can't,
Mhm,
while you are trying to sort yourself out and
Mm-hmm.
deal with the hurt and the pain and heal, what you will be concentrating on is not whether the relationship will be the same, because for a lot of people, it won't be the same again. And when it comes to the issue of trust,
Mm.
look, what forgiveness does is not force you to trust somebody again. Trust is not commanded, it
Mm-hmm.
is earned. If someone had, betrayed your trust, you really have no obligations to trust them again. Because if you think of what I said before, there are some things you have to put in place for
Yes.
you to be able to deal with all of that. And one of them is putting boundaries in place. So for someone like that, you will need, your obligation is to forgive them. And I said a lot of it's for your own sake. It's not a lot
Yes.
of time, all the time. That is for you. It's the gift to yourself. You don't want to be cheated twice. So you've been
Mm-hmm.
hurt, and now you're hurting yourself by not forgiving. That's not where you want to be. So you want to free yourself from that prison of
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness and then deal with the hurt. Dealing with it doesn't mean that you will now forget about, like, have memory loss and forget everything that happened. No. So if you at some point make reference to it, people are taken aback. They don't like it, but it's there. You have not forgotten. And
Yes.
that's why you're making reference to it when the occasion comes. So what is not good is everything that happened, you mention it, you go back to it. But there are occasions where you have to bring it up so they
Mm.
know what is informing your actions in that particular circumstance.
So
But
true.
you have to deal with it, and dealing with it doesn't mean that you affirm what they have done. No, you don't have to permit it or allow it or say it's okay. Secondly, it doesn't have to be the same again in your
Mm.
relationship. So don't feel
Yes.
guilty about that. You are hurt and you have the right to express your pain and your hurt. And then about trusting them again, they need to prove that it is now time to trust them again. If they have not proven that they can be trusted, you need to put boundaries in place so that you can also survive and excel.
Thank you so very much. That is so
It
true.
makes me sorry for jumping in, but in this case, now that we're talking, fine, work colleague, family edition, let's extend it. Makes me
Yes.
ask myself, right? How many times can a person forgive something major, and how many times can person forgive, those little annoying things?
Okay, so that's why I said that you need boundaries. You don't have to allow yourself to need to forgive severally. That is the door you opened. So
Mm-hmm.
if you
Hmm.
notice that someone is because there are some people, it's their job. Don't forget. Some people
Yes.
have made it like a job to make sure that you are constantly offended, and they don't care. And they may be very close. It can even be someone you're sharing a bed with. That's how
Yes.
close
Hmm.
it can be, that someone is annoying you. And I always tell people that when people dress up and you see them on the street, because they are able to have a shower and put on clean clothes, doesn't mean they are well. So someone can actually be very sick.
That's
And
true.
Hmm.
people at the forefront don't look at it that way. They just think he's being unreasonable. She's so unreasonable. But you really don't know what they do. You know, some people hear voices and just do what the voice tells them to do. And that's an
Yeah.
illness. So you have to take some steps back and assess the situation. It will help. If you assess it and you find from the course of dealing with that individual that this may be that they are intentional about this, or it is that as they always come and say sorry and even cry, maybe they don't know what they are doing, or maybe they have no control over their
Mm-hmm.
what they are doing and all of that. Whatever you
Hmm.
assess it, you come up with in your assessment, you need to make sure that whatever is causing it, that you don't permit it. So you need boundaries. You need to put blockages. It doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you block those people from relating with them or severe relationship, because some of them you can't. There are some
Yes.
people we can't get rid of in our lives, but you can
Not
make
possible.
sure you can make sure that they don't put you in a situation where you will be causing yourself hurt all the time. Because
That
if it
is
Mm.
happens once and twice and three times, when people come to me and it's up to three times, I tell them the fourth one is your fault.
yes.
You don't
Yeah.
permit it. And sometimes I
Mm.
allow, for me, I will allow it over time. And I do allow a lot of time, give long rope. Some people can hurt me for a whole year. I am, those that know me, I will say, you know what? It's time for me to study this person and assess them. I want to make sure that I understand them, and I will create avenues and situations, events, occasions to learn them. And
Mm-hmm.
once I do,
Mm.
I take a stand. And
They
it,
do say what you are not changing, you are choosing, right? So that's
it
one
doesn't
of
Yes.
them.
matter. Remember that in life, you come first. It is you. You have to take care of
Mm.
yourself. You have to make sure
Mm.
that you are okay before you can take care of someone else. So sometimes sentiments and emotions are the reason why we keep getting hurt and getting hurt. So is a family member. So what? If someone hears me say, so what? They will take it that I'm such a hard person that doesn't consider family is family. You know, those that manipulate people, those are the kind of languages they use. Family is family.
Absolutely.
You can't choose your family. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
choose your family. Is blood, is this, is all of that. Did you not know? So, did you not
Mm.
know that is all of that? If you knew what you are expecting me to know, we won't be where we are now. So that does not
Mm.
excuse, I mean, it doesn't mean that people can make errors and make mistakes. Sometimes people hurt you, not that they want to or plan to, but they
Mm-hmm.
themselves didn't know better, didn't have better information. They are also victims. That's possible, but
Mm.
it's not something that keep
Yeah.
repeating. It doesn't
Yes.
repeat over and over. Once it's going like that, you need to let the person know. And that's where conversation is important, communication. If you just put boundaries and didn't let them know, then you are calling for trouble. you
Mm-hmm.
will you will let them know that this is this, and for now, this is my way of dealing with it. We can get to this, we
Mhm.
can do this, you can get this one from me, this you can't. Don't come close to this again. Don't do this, because so that we can have a healthy relationship. People understand that. And so you will be able to have breathe and also allow them to. And what some people will do is they will leave you alone and find someone else. Manipulators will do that. They will step
Mm.
away and find another breathing
The
place.
next victim.
Yeah. And
The
then,
next
Yeah, the one
victim.
that they can leech on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because no,
That.
what you just mentioned now is something that I struggled for good, I would say 20 years with. This part of forgiveness, like to a family member, right? And it's just like, I think that naturally we are people that, when you feel betrayed by a family member, so to speak, blood, as we are now, saying it, think it's just like it hurts different, it hits you different, and it's something that's I overcame now, but I know what you're talking about because it took me good 20 years for me to realize, that if I forgive, it's because of me. It's not because of other person, because it's easier for me than to move and to do that next step, right? And I'm not
Mhm.
saying in like only, oh, let's get better and stuff. Some relationships after certain betrayal cannot be fixed, and I understand that, especially when it comes to family, because it's like, listen, all job that you had in this life is just be a family, you know what I mean? And if you fail that, like, what else can I give, or what else can I expect? So I think it's a hard one, and me, I know my character and I know how strong I am, but now I'm thinking about if it took me 20 years, how it is for like a person that it's maybe more emotionally attached or is of weaker personality, or maybe it's a lot, and like I personally, I never had a therapy. I healed myself with books and different ways that I found. um but like maybe people are not open to that, or they don't know, and this is something that is worrying. That's why we walk around with a lot of traumas, right? And it's
Yes.
affecting, not just you as an individual, but us as then parents, us as family members, us as partners, in so many different aspects that is just unbelievable. um so I completely, like, I resonate with what you just said now. Like, it hit me, because I just went back, like, how much it took me of that strength, and what forgiveness at the end actually meant for me. Although it didn't fix the relationship, it actually made it worse, you know what I mean? But like, I breathe easily. There is like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I know who I am. I've done my part. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I think that that's why it's very important that we speak about that, because betrayal of a family member, ouch, that hits different.
Yeah, you're right.
You are so right. It hits different because, as we all know, we grew up or we live in a society where it is generally said that, or where we believe supposedly that blood is thicker than water. So here we are talking about those that are supposed to protect our interests, whatever comes may. But oftentimes it is usually not the case. But
But
the
you
the
see, funny
part that
thing is, Pedro,
Mhm.
sorry to cut you, but before you go further, you said, blood is thicker than water. We use that, like, I don't know, I even remember maybe 10 years ago. Now we say blood doesn't make you family. You see how this is always, it's changing.
That is
It
that is the
is.
new lingo. That is the new
No,
lingo.
it is.
We
And even I use it now, I don't know when was the last time I used blood is thicker than water. Now using blood
we
doesn't
are
make you a family, because I learned a lot. You know what I mean? Like, nah. So
in
yeah.
most cases in life. In most cases in life, we just don't want to admit it. We are all using Gen Z terminology, whether we agree or
Oh,
not. We are all Gen
I'm
Z.
still
I'm one of
young,
those that
so
accept it. I'm yet to complete 16 years old, so I'm not even ashamed to say it. So you
yeah,
should be
yeah.
sending your birthday gift to me. So I'll be completing 16 soon. It wouldn't get to my turn that you will
You
not
are
celebrate
getting
my
worse
sweet
and
16.
worse. Each Chichi, each episode we have, he's getting younger. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but
No,
it's telling. I
You
mean,
live in a denial.
it's, it's what we see and what we hear that we make judgments on. So we can see he's turning Jay-Z, and we are
of
hearing it
course,
from him. So we
of
believe him.
course.
We
I
believe
am
him.
I, I am staying on my friend's part. I'm a Gen Z, and we are all kicking
Yes.
it. You
Yeah.
know,
We
If you
in
support
all
leave
you.
of
it,
We
this,
support you.
good.
if you leave
Thank
it
you
and
so
act it,
much.
that's what you are. So
Thank you so much, my dear friends. I really appreciate that. So you are all invited to my 16th birthday, okay? My
that's all
sweet
right.
16th birthday. Yeah.
Quinceañera.
We'll come on air. Mm.
Okay, good. In all of this discussion, especially when it comes to family and friends, the one that troubles me the most, or that I find it difficult to handle, it is their gaslighting, talking about Gen Z again, terminology. When they gaslight you, they know very well that they messed you up. They did what they were not supposed to do. And at the end of the day, they try to make it your problem, not their problem. You understand?
Mhm,
That is where the
mhm,
manipulation, in my opinion, the part that is difficult for ones to manage. If you had wronged me and you rightly apologize, I will understand. It will be easy for me not only to forgive and to forget, but when you have wronged me and at the same time you are doing things in, like, making it to show in my face as if I have nothing to do. I think, in my opinion, it shows the way you considered me. It shows the amount of consideration that you have for me. Just to explain this better, I don't know, Tiasha, if it's in the Nigeria Nollywood setting. There is a popular podcaster called Nedu of the Wazobia Honest Bunch. podcast
Hmm.
just for the sake of argument to buttress how way gaslighting can happen even in a family context like this. And when it comes to manipulation, when they do, for instance, when it became public that the children that he had with his ex-wife, one of them was not actually his. Instead of the woman, although the general public sympathizes with her and everything, obviously, as a woman, you have this privilege that I don't have as a man, which I'm angry about as well, no matter what. Some are tend to be forgiving, and we has to be sent to wherever it is to be. This lady, I read or I quote, said a good she said in her own words, when it became clear, when the DNA result became public and everything, she said, I never told Nedu that the child was his. He just assumed because we were married.
Really?
Can you imagine a thing like that?
No, she really said that
That's
Of
great.
course.
publicly.
Of course.
Some
That was
people
her
say
excuse.
Ah,
some people say worse things, Tacha. You
That
don't
was
want
her
to know.
excuse.
You don't want to hear.
I am quoting word for word what she said. I never told Nedu that the child was his. He just assumed because that we were married. You know, why preparing for this episode and everything? Because I don't want anybody to take our discussion tonight to be something that we
mm,
didn't intend to. It's not as if we are just here talking. I am bringing real life example tonight to make argument about how family members, somebody that you believe in so much, that you have decided to build your life with, could betray you. You know, these things are hurtful. And this is just one example. Just like she said this, some men in the context from where I'm coming from could be married after 30 years with a particular woman. That lady may never know that that particular man had another family in another city, in another
Yeah.
village somewhere with children, maybe even bigger,
Very functional
grown up
family.
than
Yeah.
functional family and everything. You know, people could be very, very manipulative. And when you approach them with evidence, concrete evidence like this, they will gaslight you. They will make the problem appear to be as if it is your problem, and they will call your enemy crazy. They make you look as if you are the one stupid. You know, going back to my example again, like if you do it to me personally, why is the society asking me not to take it personally? I don't get it. I don't get it. At my age, at my experience in life and everything, I am yet to understand it. If you have intentionally hurt me, and why will my reaction become a problem? I mean, I'm asking you, Madam Chichi and Chasha, are we really asking or teaching us as citizens, as people, as human beings, even how to react positively to this form of gaslighting and manipulation from loved ones, from grown-up children, from ex-husband, ex-wife, and everybody? Is it really fair on our part that we tend to be described as the one that is crazy when we are just reacting to what has happened to us?
Okay. So this is what why I talk about boundaries. So it's actually someone has offended you and they are indirectly demanding apology from you, but they are the ones
It's
that offended.
unbelievable.
So, I mean, in that situation, and you have assessed the person and they are well. So it means they are manipulators. They are just and they may be also sick in another way mentally. Yeah, because why on earth would somebody do something and make it another person's problem? So is either way they are sick, to be honest. It's only a sick person that do that kind of thing. Now it depends on what kind of sickness they are going through. And I think that for manipulators, I have a grandma who and this is just a real life scenario, a grandma. So
Mm-hmm.
every time her daughter, because she's an only daughter, the only child,
Good.
Every
Mhm.
time she had enjoyed this life of, I mean, I get whatever I want and all that. But then
Over
the mom,
pampered.
no, the mom had gotten to the point where she's no longer the way she used to be. And maybe you can call and get £1,000. And now the woman isn't working, and she's just living off what she has. What makes you think you can still get whatever you get or you ask for? So every time there is a problem, she will keep threatening the mom with her children. So she keep manipulating the mom, manipulating until I get to hear about it. Because every time what the grandma thinks about is, oh, she's going to stop me from seeing my grandchildren. And
Wow.
she is her only family. So if that
Mhm.
happens and everybody is cut off, she's alone. And so she kept allowing it to happen. And every time she would use the grandchildren to get her. And the best that she did for herself is to look for help, because I don't see her ever coming out of that problem on her own without someone holding her by the hand. She wouldn't have developed confidence enough or willpower to be able to do that. She was sold out and, in fact, brainwashed, and the daughter did that. So it's when she was coached, so she will call and she will say, okay, I need time to think about it. And that's some of the things that we have to be practicing. Some of the languages we have to be, or sentences we have to be, getting familiar with. Okay, I will think about it. I need time to think about it. No, as much as I love my grandchildren and I love my daughter, I will
Mhm.
not be coerced into doing this. That's a statement that goes a long way. Let them know that, yes, we are blood and it is thicker than whatever. Yes, any mixture is thicker than it. I agree. But that won't coerce me. You won't use that to coerce me into doing this because I don't feel comfortable doing this. Is another statement that should be in our collection. I don't feel comfortable doing this, so I'm not going to do it, no matter what happens. As much as I would love you to have this, you can't make me give you the only money that I will use to do this for my child or do this. No, it won't happen. They need to know. So over time, what this young lady did was it kept ringing in her head. And remember, once you do that, they will know that something has shifted. And
Absolutely.
that's what you want to establish. Remember that they are not going to stop immediately, but they will start trying to affirm that observation and that assumption that they have made. Remember, at this stage is an assumption. Did
Yes.
something shift? Did something not shift? Has he changed? Has somebody spoken to her? Is there someone behind the scene that is telling her that I'm bluffing? What's going on? Then they will keep doing until they can come to a conclusion that this is reality. This woman had known what I know, and they will stop. If you leave them, they will make you feel like you are insane, that you are the one something is wrong with. And that's what the manipulator does is to make you lose your power. Once you
Absolutely.
once you lose
Yeah.
that power, then they can. It's the same way that animals in the bush get their prey. That's
Mhm.
how it is done. And they will do it when you are at your lowest point, when you are not. That's why they use things that are so dear to you to threaten you or to blackmail you. It's things that
Just
you will have to think many times and
yes.
not find an answer where to stand. So you have to be
Mm.
careful. I think that if people consider themselves first and give themselves the benefit of making sure their mental health is sound, their
Mhm.
physical health because sometimes these things can overwhelm you and bring you physically down. So you have to
So
make sure
true.
you're healthy all round, and that spiritually you are also healthy, so that you can function. You don't let anybody drag you to the point where, I mean, for some of us, if you guys haven't had family members that betrayed your trust, I have. I have had people that in my life I will never think that they would do certain things they did. Are we still family? Yes. Are we still friends for friends that did that? Of course. But as you guys know, there are some of my friends and people I know that I have people I call 3 monthly, people I call 1 monthly, people I call 6 monthly. I have to deal with myself and make sure that they are not holding me. I have nobody in this life that if I if something happens, maybe I don't want to call them, but something comes up that demands that I reach out to them, or
Mm.
that I need to get across to them. I don't have such person that I will say, no, let somebody call them, that I won't call them. I don't have that. And it is intentional. I have to put in a lot of work to get to that level where you can't offend me to the point where we will not have a conversation. It may not be long as before, but we can still talk and we can still meet. We can still have, but I have to put a boundary in place. And people need to remove sentiments and emotions where it's not needed, so that
That's where the issue is.
and also count themselves as somebody. You are also somebody. You have to
So
get to a
true.
point where you stop thinking about what this will do to everybody but yourself. You have to think of, who are you? What are you worth? Sometimes it helps you to know that, oh, I am not what he's calling me. I'm more than that. And so it boosts your confidence to say, I'm not going to do this. I won't do it. And when you establish your ground, it becomes the platform from where all of you operating. And you can then forgive easily, because forgiveness won't be all the time. It shouldn't be all the time, you know. So that's what I would say. You don't, the most of the work is from you, and
Yes.
you owe it yourself, because nobody really cares about you but yourself. If you don't care and they don't also care, you're finished. So you must care about yourself, you know.
Oh,
And
I
that's
just realized, thank you for that, that I need a therapy because I'm not that type of a person.
Yeah,
liquid metal.
some people will never, some people will never be
Admit.
able to cope unless they get help. And that's what the professionals are there for. Some people, especially our people, you know, Pedro, our
Yes,
people,
absolutely.
they can pay for designers, pay for even the things that will kill them, but they will never pay for the things that will benefit them. They don't want to pay for, even, do you realize that even when they are doing their immigration papers, they don't
Good.
go and seek legal advice? It's
In
as bad
fact,
as that with our people. They take
I have,
information from everywhere and work with
yes.
it until it fails. Then they will say, oh, God has killed me. But you didn't do things right, you know. So it is important that people start. I know now that in my place, like in Nigeria, of all places, I never knew that mental health will become a thing in Nigeria, that people will start thinking
Ooh,
of their mental health and start attending therapy. It's a big industry now in Nigeria. Counseling and coaching
absolutely.
has become huge, that they now have an association and like
So true.
accredited body that oversee it.
Absolutely.
And that
Abs-
is the way to go, because you can't do some things on your own. You have no will. If you have lost willpower, where are you starting from? You need to get it
no,
back, to bounce back, you know.
I,
No, you see,
based on,
sorry, Pedro, I completely agree with that. But you know where I have a problem when you said, like, if somebody betrayed me,
mhm.
the fact I cannot sit with you, even though, as Chichi said before, and I know that there might be somebody watching now that has the same issue as me. My pride, my ego Is too high for that. You hurt me. You betrayed me. Maybe not once. Maybe you've done it twice. I cannot sit down with you, even for a 5 minute conversation. I do not trust you. We are done. Over, done, and dusted. And that's why I said, after what you said, I need a bloody therapy.
You're right.
They are dealing with you twice, and you
Yeah,
can't
of
let that
course.
happen. Don't let them
Eh,
do. They are
No,
giving
I
them
know,
all.
like, yes, Chichi, but like me, for example, I am, when it comes to certain things, I know how to set my boundaries. But
Yeah,
when it comes to my close friends, my close family, this is where I'm lacking that.
you
Because
should do the same
once
with them, but differently.
I know, but that's why I said I need a therapy.
Then get
You
one.
see, because of what you said now. Because I've been always like, even character wise, I mean, those who know me, they know how I am. But like I said, listen, I have a father who cut me off. I tried. Always cutting off, always cutting off. You understand? To the point now where I did forgive, but to me, it's like you told me to walk out of your life. You told me not to contact you anymore. I will not sit even at your grave. I'm going towards 40. That means you know how many chances you had. This is what I'm talking about. Because I said it before, when it's family, when it's somebody you are dedicated to, when it's blood, whatever you want to use that, it's it's just like this is something that my character in general, the nature of a person I am, my ego,
mhm.
my pride will not allow. And I'm not saying this is right and I'm not saying this is wrong, you know. I'm always like, okay, fine, whatever suits you, as long as it's not gonna affect your mental health. I always say that.
Yeah,
But I
but
feel like for me,
you
when I was there, when I tried, when I put all my in, it was mentally more difficult for me. That's where my stress and really like weakness was coming in. Now that I decided for myself, you have been forgiven. You have your own shit going on. You
So can I
understand?
ask you a question, Tasha? How
Mm-hmm.
do you know you have forgiven him? How do you know?
I feel that it's easier for me. There are certain things now that, like, for example, I'll give you now a pure example, right? When I was visiting now my home country, um, before I visited, this is the time now that we basically, because of the issues, he told me not to contact him anymore because we still used to be in contact briefly. However, he decided to say that to me, and I went now to Slovenia and I spent good 2 months there. And he didn't initiate. Like his son, my brother, came to visit me. I got to know through him. He knew that my brother came to visit me. He knew that he was with me. He knew that he spent the day with me and everything. He didn't ask of me. He didn't ask how I am. He didn't ask, about my children or anything. Now, mind you, if that was 4, 5 years ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, that would completely crush me. Completely. I admit, I was a small girl caught in a grown woman's body. And anytime something was about him, it triggered me. I went back to maybe 15 years old, being emotional, even cried because of him. Like it really, really affected me. However, this time I was like, listen, he decided, he's standing by that. You understand? I understand. He has his own trauma, he has his own things he needs to deal with. Let him be. And honestly, deep down from my heart, I knew the way I reacted is that it's been forgiven, whatever happened between us. I need to move on because of me, because of my children, because of my husband. You understand? Because it affected all of us. So this is how I then basically translated this forgiveness. I felt that easy feeling. I'm not
Mhm.
angry at him.
Yeah, it's something that you have to make sure that you define. Like,
Yeah,
is my behavior now? Is it born out of a place of maturity than a place of forgiveness? Or is it from the place of forgiveness that I'm acting this? If he didn't come and I was told that he knew I was around,
Mhm.
did I make sure that without any doubt that he was away, did I call him to say, we are in town, in so place? Or did I
The
know that the
problem is I've
person?
been blocked. I have no source of reaching out to him. He
Okay.
blocked me on every way he can. So I personally could not reach out to him, but I know 100% because my brother actually, when he lives away, he lives like 2 hours drive away. So when I visited, he basically asked him if they can sleep at his house because he's coming to visit me. So my
Okay.
father, his wife, and everybody involved knew that I am in town, knew that I'm visiting, and they knew what's going on.
Let
Yeah.
me ask you
So
something. For the sake of your children, is there more you can stretch for the sake of, I mean, his grandchildren, knowing that
y-
sometimes it does affect children? I don't mean that if it is going to cause more harm, that you do that. But of course, you are in the situation, you can assess it and know whether they will wake up one day and wonder why you didn't, while he was alive, and you
mhm.
didn't make them to relate with him, something
Interesting,
like
interesting question because I hope that people can also relate to this story. Not just with the fathers, with whoever that we are talking to
that.
now, and take something out of it. But yes, I did think of that, and it came to a time not even so long ago, that I did ask myself, like, should I use a source to let him know that if he ever feels like it, although he decided to tell me, we are no longer in contact, don't contact me or whatever, that I'm still available. But then, Chichi, here is my pride and ego problem.
Okay, maybe
Because,
that's what you would need to
you know,
deal with. Yeah.
where I had, here where you're thinking like that, right? If a person, that we are, I don't know, 5 minutes drive away from you, we are in a reach of you, you have grandchildren around. If you don't call me and ask me how they are doing, or let's meet or whatever, if you would show any interest and ask, let's say, my brother, so how are they doing? You know what I mean? So this is where my pride and ego come in. Like, you didn't even ask at that time. So now, for me to reach out, I would go beyond my character, beyond my ego, beyond my. So, I said it like that. My daughter is the oldest one. She's gonna grow up fast. She's old enough. If ever she would express, that, but I don't think that she also knows that she's loved by him, because even
You
though
don't,
when
you
we were
don't,
in contact, I
you
don't
don't,
know. I'm
yeah.
saying I never spoke bad about him to my children. I never will, because I was also brought up that way.
Sorry,
I
sorry,
mean,
Pedro, that we keep going on and on.
No, no,
So
no,
I,
no.
I think, I think
The
Tasha,
purpose
that
of the show is
there is,
this.
there is something. I mean, it's still the same thing we are discussing. There is
Of
something
course.
more that you can do, and it doesn't mean that it's
it
going to be
is, but like I
anything.
said, I would need then this therapy part because like I said,
Yeah,
my
when
pride and
you get
ego.
to it, it will
Ugh.
help you. It will help you because there is still a little bit left, and
It is,
therapy will
it
take
is left when it comes to my children, because this is the only part that still triggers me, because
not
this is
just
not,
them. It is not just them, but
no,
you
not
will
just them, but when you know that there is no, how to put it, words now,
let me
that
tell you what I'm worried about. What I'm
he never
worried about
expressed
is,
any need, for that part of his life, and that's why I just kind of let it go.
and I think that there is more that you might discover. What I'm worried about in this scenario is that we are talking about boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness, and
Hmm.
maturity. Between these three,
Yeah.
you have to identify where you are operating from. And until you do that, there may be more to be done. So it is
Mm-hmm.
three things
Mm-hmm.
you're working with that I can pick up. And these three
Yeah.
things are where you are talking from. And it may be just not there yet. I think that when
Mm-hmm.
you sit before a coach or a therapist, you will
Mm-hmm.
get to that point where things are more clear. And then you will make your choice whether you want to
You
tilt
see,
towards,
I
yeah.
hope I hope somebody else got something out of that, because when you were speaking, that's why I said, like, and I'm listening to you. I'm like, you see, Tasha, you need to do something. Like you said, maybe I feel like I am there and I'm not, because I know, like, when you mentioned children and you mentioned that, part, I felt like in me that it still triggered me, because that's the part that I haven't.
You may just have matured, and that's it. And the other
Exactly.
the other the other ones, and then due to maturity and because you already put boundaries in place, you think you are there.
Yes,
So you need to look at the
Mm,
three keywords and figure what I'm doing, where is it stemming from? And that
that
will
is
mhm.
help you.
true.
And
S-
this
Hey,
thing,
Chichi. Woo!
anyway, that's the kind of things that get exposed when
Of course.
you sit before someone who is not. Remember that the reason that coaches and therapists help others is because they are not the ones in that heat, so they can see.
Emotionally involved, yeah.
They are not putting in emotions and sentiments, which is what
Yes.
will
Mm-hmm.
cloud our sense of judgment sometimes. So they can
Mm-hmm.
see what you are not seeing. They can
Mm-hmm.
reason objectively. They can look at things in a way that you won't. And then when the answers start coming, remember, it's still coming from you, not from them.
Yeah.
It's only the
Yeah.
counselors that can give you things. The other ones, they just put things for you to see yourself and what you are doing, and the answers you will be answering yourself. So you need to get to that point where you
Mm-hmm.
make sure beyond reasonable doubt that you have forgiven, and you're doing is putting boundaries, that it is not just because of maturity you are skipping things. So
Okay.
Mm. Oga Pedro, can
Perfect.
you believe Tiasha can be fixed? Huh? See, I
Absolutely.
can be fixed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Chichi has said already that there is nothing that we cannot forgive. You
nothing,
know,
nothing,
I came into the
nothing.
show tonight with the idea that, look, although I'm very big on forgiveness, there are some things that you cannot forgive. But she was able to convince me that no matter the pain, that you'll be able to forgive. It takes time
Mhm.
and everything. And
Yeah.
while we have been having this discussion and everything, I've been working in my head and everything. I genuinely believe that at times, when we ask people to forgive, at times, it is actually not the right time to start asking them for forgiveness. You understand? Just to make
Mhm.
a very silly example, you can't hit somebody's child with your vehicle. Just I'm talking about maybe drunk drive. I'm not even trying to say something unintentional here. If one has been drunk and driving and you happen to hit somebody, parents and whatsoever, when they know for a fact that you are not in your right state of mind while you were driving and everything, asking them immediately at that moment to forgive you, I think it's the wrong time to ask for forgiveness. So you
I
wouldn't be
agree.
surprised that people are not able to forgive you as at that particular time. And at times, even going back to my personal experience and everything, I felt bad. I was just coming back from a journey and everything. I had a very great time and having a discussion with my director, like, this is what I have to hear and everything. I was like, who the fuck is this? Why?
Mm.
Why? Of all the things I have to worry about, I have to worry about your feelings. I swear right now. So the, these are
Yes.
real life situations. Nobody is perfect. I've never intended to tell anyone that I was perfect in any shape or form. Like, I'm as raw as you get. I'm a human being. I have my shortcomings by all means. Let us not even
Yeah, of
go
course.
there. But I believe that every human being, we all do our best to put our best foot forward at any point in time. But at the same time, I have come to realize that some people will do you shege, like they say in Nigeria. They will do you shege. It is, you know, as funny as it is, why the two of you were discussing about this therapy thing of a thing, what I deduce out of it with the way Chichi explained all of them, what I can describe therapists or coaches to be today is this new viral stuff that is going on in the Nigeria TikTok. We listen, we don't judge. I don't know if you have come across those videos that they are making and everything, where you have to air out your skeleton in your cupboard and everything, and those listening to you have no right to judge you. So we listen, we don't judge. Try to watch some of
If
those
you do that
videos.
on social media and you say listen and don't judge, like how does this two go together? I don't get it.
No, you
No,
can't do,
it's
you can't do, social media is not, social media is more than what people think about. But what that slogan is saying is that people should have a safe place to be able to talk about
I
their
agree with
problem.
that.
Yeah,
I
so
agree
there
with
are
that.
some safe places that a lot of platforms and organizations. There are even on anonymous places where nobody
yes.
can tell who you are. Nobody will know your number, or you won't see the number of who you're talking to, and it will never be shared.
Mhm.
So people can, because if you take it like this, someone is drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Saving them is what is important.
Yes.
Nobody is interested because, by the way, is because their own is different. What about your
Mm-hmm.
own? Who can you
Yes.
really judge, really?
Yeah.
So if you now say, will you come out and say, oh, your own is worse? It's worse because it's probably, have you not noticed that people classify sin and evil today based on who it affects? So
So true.
you may
Hmm.
have a very terrible habit that only maybe people inside your house know about,
Mm-hmm.
and you are fine. When you go out, you see somebody that maybe the habits they have, or the whatever they are dealing with, affects other people. Then you say, because it's magnified more. It doesn't mean
Absolutely.
that
Hmm.
their own is worse than yours. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that it's affecting more people. And that's
That's
why
true.
Hmm.
some things seem to be bigger than some. So people should have a safe place where
To
they
talk.
can discuss and air out. Sometimes therapy is just talking. Do you know? Therapy is just
Yeah.
sometimes you can come to someone's desk, talk for 1 hour, go home, and all they have said is, how are you feeling now? How does that
Hmm.
make you feel? And these maybe just five of them, five of these lines are the only thing they ever said in that 1 hour, and you are fine. So because you give yourself the answers, and they can only
Yeah.
hold you accountable based on the things. After all, they don't know you. So if you're
Yeah.
honest to them, they will help you. They will pick out things that will put you in the path where you will find help and peace for yourself. And let me
Hmm.
talk about the forgiveness we are talking about. It's not just enough to tell someone, you have to forgive. You have to forgive is for your own sake. They have to really know that it is the gift they give themselves. Will
Hmm.
Yes.
you want to deny yourself of anything good? You won't.
No.
So this one
Not
is
at
one
all.
of them. Make sure that you release it to yourself. And every time you forgive someone, think of when you didn't forgive someone. How do you feel? They don't even know you feel like that. They are busy
Yeah.
living their
Hmm.
lives, and you
So
are the
true.
one dying in your space. So you
Hmm.
can't let them do this one and also do this one. They
Your
have
personal peace
done it,
away.
hurt you terribly, and they are also making you feel bad that they hurt you. Come on, you can't do that. And the
It's not
moment you
worth it.
forgive, that part leaves you,
Yeah.
and you have to give yourself that. That's the way I see it. So
It's not worth.
you can talk about it, and make sure you air everything inside you, and in the way they will understand. Make sure that you also, if your therapy is keeping journals, or just talking about it, or going to a therapist or a coach or
Mm.
counselor, do that because it's your life, you know.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so
Mm.
very much. We have a comment concerning this since we are still on the issue of forgiveness. Peter here is saying it is not about ego nor pride. People do this intentionally because they know you will always forgive. No forgiveness.
There are
Peter, I know
some
what's going
people like that.
you.
No,
Yeah.
I
but
know.
the fact is, we said it
Mm,
before. There are some people that
yeah.
do this for job. They
Yeah.
are like
Yeah. Of course.
leeches, you know.
Yes.
So I do agree with that comment as well. Like it totally resonates in nowadays society. It
Yeah,
It
does.
is true.
but let's take it this way. If they
Mm,
didn't offend you, will you need to forgive? You
no.
won't. You can
No.
relate with people in a way they will not hurt you. They won't
Yeah.
offend you because they won't have the chance to do that.
Does it always need to be? I mean, now that you mentioned like this, I mean, offend. I find that word so like surfaced. It's like it's focused just one direction. So I'm asking now, like we're talking about, I mean, betrayal. You know, somebody who betrayed you in any kind of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, why? I mean, the way you worded it now, I really am interested. If somebody didn't offend you, isn't that like just one-sided the way to look at it, or should we then um, categorize these betrayals and then what is it there? Because, for example, I don't feel like I've been offended. I feel like, if this offensive way, let's say when it comes to bullying, I'll give you an example. Me always being of a bigger size and stuff. Obviously, when you're growing up, when you're teenagers and stuff, there is a lot of people who will feed their ego by belittling you because of the way you look or whatever. We've all been through that, or I mean, majority of us. Now, funnily enough, as much as it did hurt me maybe in that moment, and I was offended, of course. Although I have a mirror at home, I can see whatever you just told me. You know what I mean? I was offended, but I didn't feel like I need to forgive this person. Because at the same time, I knew that, it's bullying. It's like, I mean, I maybe because of me, I moved on. But like, I feel the betrayal in general is more of a need of forgiveness than that offensive part of it. Or am I looking at the
I
wrong,
think
I mean,
I
at it
think that
from the wrong perspective?
all of them are boils down to the point that you don't like it. That's an offense. So you don't think that I watered it down because I'm
Mm.
used the word
Mm-hmm,
offense. That's what you're feeling. That I am watering
mm-hmm.
it down to think that betrayal is just an offense. It is
No,
it,
no, no. I wanted to know the way you see it, because when you mentioned, like, if he didn't offend you, and maybe I took it as a surfaced word too much. That's why I said, if you can, based on my example and stuff, just maybe let us know, is it like important for us that whatever kind of betrayal it is, that we alone categorize it to the extent of which affected us and which needs the forgiveness, or like deserves the forgiveness, or is even forgivable? Let's say we are speaking metaphorically now. Or
yeah.
how do we, based on how you worded it, is what triggered my interest, or maybe digging deeper in helping explain me, obviously, because it looks like I'm confused a little bit, and maybe to others that are of similar thinking that I am, of how, if you can dig deeper and explain this part a little bit. Not that you use the surfaced word, I'm just saying that maybe if it's misunderstood, like from my perspective alone, if you can just explain a little bit more in detail.
So are you
Sorry.
asking if betrayal, if betrayal can just be an offense that will be forgiven, or what?
Yeah, the way you worded it is like if they didn't offend you, is like they don't need a forgiveness in kind of a way.
Okay, okay. So
Uh,
what
yeah,
I
that
mean,
part. Yeah.
what I mean by that is that it is you that will put boundaries. What boundaries does is like stop someone from encroaching into a certain space or getting
Hmm.
to a certain point, and you are the one that
Hmm.
will put it. So, for instance, if someone is having the habit of, what will I use now as an example? Maybe they keep taking advantage of you and hurting
Mhm.
you, or let's just say you trusted someone deeply. It's your
Hmm.
childhood friend, for instance. Some of the things that happen on social media are the things that we can use as an example because it's relatable. So you have a
Hmm.
Absolutely.
girlfriend in school. You went through your primary school, high school, everything. You grew up in the same locality. You went to get this, to get that, everything together. You really thought that they will watch your back, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
one day, maybe you had a boyfriend, and of course, because of her position in your life, she knows everything. She knows every move you make. So she knows the day that he proposed. She knows the day
Hmm.
that you went out. She knows how deeply he's in love with you and all of that. She knows all of that. And one day you found out that you were planning to go for movies, and she says she's not feeling well, and then you went to movies so that on your way back you will go and visit her because she's not well, isn't it? And then you now branched in to your boyfriend's house first on your way back and met her there naked with him. That's the kind of thing that betrayal is, because this is intentionally thought out. Remember that
Hmm.
it's not like she went around his block and something just happened. It was
Yes.
planned. So when she told you she's not well, she knows that she's going there. So
Hmm.
that's the kind of the betrayals that people find so difficult to
To
forgive.
forgive.
And that's
Hmm.
also because they have affected something they hold so dear to. It's not like they
Yeah.
took your bread and ate it and you came back, it's no more there. You can go and buy another bread. You understand?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So these are the things that people deal with. Now, whether it can be forgiven, of course, but she's not going to be that your friend again. She will
No.
Hmm.
be, she's going to be, after all, there are other people in your lives that are not in the space you put her. So you are going to move
Hmm.
her to another space. You are not going to hold her in unforgiveness. You are not, it's not like if she needs something, maybe need blood tomorrow, and your blood type is the same, and that's
Hmm.
her life, to keep her life, that when it is taken from you, you are still going to survive, that you won't do that. That doesn't mean that. So you have to get to the point where you are in that space where if she needs something, you will give, but she will not be in the space again where you get another fiance and she will know every move and step. Because
Hmm.
when people are not in certain space, they can't hurt you.
Absolutely.
So they have to
Yeah.
be in a
Yeah.
space where they have all the things they need to be able to
Hmm.
cool off that hurt. So
Hmm.
you basically, boundaries means you are moving them from one post to the other
Hmm.
where you have assessed they belong to. And
Hmm.
that
Wow.
will help you to manage the relationship in a way that
Better.
is
Hmm.
not causing you harm, and they are also safe. Because sometimes I tell people that we are the ones that are giving people, kind of, setting people up to hurt us. We set them up to hurt them, to hurt us, and we say it's their fault. You have done
Yeah.
some things that mean they can't resist. They can't resist. So if you know somebody spends money that you already know that this our friend, a mutual friend, had given them money. The day they went to collect it, it wasn't available. And then you went
Mhm.
and you didn't find someone else, and you didn't find somewhere to dig the ground and hid the money. It's them that you went to give that money, and you said, make sure that I need it on 20th. Make sure is you are kidding yourself. You are the one
Yeah,
even
I get
setting
it.
them up for to
Yeah.
fail. So you have to
Mm.
put boundaries, means that you are protecting yourself from the thing happening again.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
let me just say that everybody cannot betray you. Everybody is not the same, because some
Yes.
people, because someone has hit them hard, betrayed them, and when it's family members and friends, there are some friends that are more than family. When they do something
Mhm.
to you, especially if they know you all round, people get so offended when they know, because if they don't know you finish, you can bounce back and have other things to protect yourself from. But when they know you all
Yeah.
around, you are so vulnerable before them. That's why it
Mhm.
hurts so hard. So make
Yeah.
sure that all in all, you are making sure that it doesn't happen again, not for yourself alone, but also for them,
Yes.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
also have to
Yeah.
make sure they are not tempted to do that again. And that's the only way
Mhm.
you can retain some relationships. If not, it will now be severed. And you don't want that to happen, because
Mhm.
relationship is the highest form of wealth. It's my slogan. And I
Yes.
really believe it deeply, that of all the gettings we get in life, relationship is the biggest that you can count on. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
some people may think that it is not so now, but a time will come in their lives when they will believe that yes, because what billions can do for you, a few people can pull it off without stress, and you will not have to worry about it. And some things that can cost you billions may not cost anything. Not that you are not the one paying, it won't cost
Mm-hmm.
anything, because certain
Mhm.
people are in your life. So
So true.
Yeah.
relationship is what people should pursue more than even money. And when I say it, people think I'm just talking, but I do sit, a lot of people sit before me a lot of times, and I have seen a trend, and that's what informs my decision, and I came up with that. And if people can pay attention and make sure that they don't deal with relationship as something they can just pick up, use, discard, pick up, use, discard. And that's why you
Mhm.
shouldn't have too many friends. It is
Mm-hmm.
wrong to have so many friends, because
You
at that
see?
point they are
You
not
see?
friends.
Oga
They are not.
Pedro, I'm keep telling you. You see? Hey.
So if you have everybody as friend, you have no friend. You don't have a
At
friend,
Yeah.
all.
because the
That's so true.
definition, you have messed up with the definition. So you have to
Yes.
have,
Mhm.
and you have to have layers of friendship. And in
So
families,
true.
you should also have the same. There are
Yes.
cadres, and everybody is not in the same space in your life. And you have
So
to make
True.
true.
sure that it is so.
So true.
I
So
agree.
true. It is so true. And that phrase of yours is something that we should print or stamp on the marble. And I'm going to make a post. Relationship is the best form of wealth that you can have. Chichi
You
Igwe.
said many things you're gonna write on the sticky notes and put it
I,
there.
I am
Where
doing
is
my
my
best.
motto? You didn't do mine yet. Chichi, wait
It,
about 2 years before
I
he puts
did
that
yours.
somewhere.
I did yours some time ago.
Did
You are the
you?
one not checking.
Hey,
I
I
did.
want
I
proof.
did. I did.
I
I
want
did.
proof.
I did.
You
I
better
did.
do Kaja's own,
And
because it's
I
every
will
day with
reiterate it to
you.
her because Tiasha said we live to learn how to live. I
Yeah.
know, and I've
Yes.
done it. I've done it,
You see,
and I'm gonna do.
even Chichi agrees with me. Hey,
Yes, I know. I don't know
now
who I agree
my
with
ego,
better.
my ego is
Eh?
high today.
No problem. In we are heading to conclusion. I'm so happy about the way the discussion went tonight, and discussing things that affect family is always very, it's high tension and very intensive. You while you try to be respectful and stay neutral, but at times the discussion could lead one to a direction that may not be too palatable to a lot of people. But the truth still have to be said, so we don't have to be
Amen.
afraid or anything. I'm really grateful. And based on that, I would like to know, how do we really handle this idea? One betrayal could have happened in one's life. I will just use an example like this as parents, for instance. Things could have happened in our life, and those, apart from our relationship no longer be the way it should be, but those that are affected by it may be our children. So, how do we, at the end of the day, restore or build relationship with those that kind of suffer the chain reaction of of our of our breakdown of relationship, or the betrayal that we happen to have suffered in our life? Why am I saying this? It happens most of the time in our society. Maybe after divorce, a father will go away and will no longer be present in the children's life. It could be the mother. It doesn't matter which of the party decide to leave. But I want to relate a very simple and real life example to you all. There is a popular Nollywood actor that is called Fred Amata. His daughter just got married, and the daughter never bothered to reach out to him as a father. It was her mother that walked her to the altar. That is just a famous example in the Nigerian cycle. And I know of cases here in Italy of like that, whereby they didn't bother to call the mother or the father when they wanted to get married and everything. The reason was that the man didn't treat my mother properly or with respect that she deserved, or the woman was never there for me and everything. So I am asking, how can we as adults restore relationship or build that reasonable, loving, and respectful relationship with our grown-up children, even though what may have happened in our life that we felt betrayed, we couldn't maintain the relationship with our partners, our significant other. What I'm trying to say in essence, should children really suffer the breakdown of our relationship when we felt betrayed? Remember the first example that I made. This man lived, when we opened the show, somebody want to bring two of his children that he knew all his life, the only children that he believed that he had. The children happen not to be his. But is that relation just going to be over? Is there see a possibility for them to establish relationship, or for him to establish relationship with those children, even though they are not practically his? But mind you, let us substitute the children, these one that are not his, due to the result of the DNA or whatsoever. It could be his children. Something might have happened that for a certain period of time, either the man or the woman may not be in their children's life. Is it still possible for us to restore that relationship, and for us to take it to a healthy level where we can enjoy relationship with our family members, friends, or whoever it is that may have betrayed us? I'm really interested in knowing this. What are the practical ways to be able to do this, if there is?
Okay, so
Before you get, I feel like my network is going down, so if you guys are gonna lose me, I'm sorry. It's not me. Talk to the wind outside. I'm really sorry, but if you lose me, you know what's going on. So just to
no
clarify
problem.
that, go on, Chichi.
You will be
No
here, no
problem.
problem.
Don't
So
worry.
I think that in life, approach matters to everything that we do. And
Mhm.
our approach comes from the place of knowledge and understanding. We can only approach things according to our measure of knowledge and understanding. And that's why everyone is seeking for knowledge and to understand what they are doing. So, information is important. It is not just okay in that example for those children to just know that they are not biological children of their father, that their mom, maybe they are grown up, they will say, oh, so my mom slept with somebody else. That's all there is to it. No, they need a lot of information to be able to make their own decisions, because their decision may be that they follow their dad, because being a father is different from being a daddy. So
Yes.
they may just think, well, he's our dad and he will be our dad, and they go with him. I have seen someone, one of my coaches actually, he broke up with his wife, but their daughter stayed with the father, the daughter of the lady. Remember, he's not the father. The woman came into the marriage with that child, but the child stayed with this dad and the mother had to go. So it's different cases for different people. And I think,
That's one of a kind story.
yeah,
I've never heard of a story like this.
and it's someone, it's my coach, it's someone I
Yeah.
know very well, and I've seen the girl. So it is something that people have to take on board, that it is not just what everybody decides that you decide, and that you can't really come up with a decision until you have a lot of information enough
Hmm.
to be able to make your own choice. So they have to decide, because these parents made their own decisions. The woman was the one that, when she found out that this pregnancy doesn't belong to the man for whatever reason, and I bet you the reasons will be 110, that made her not to tell the man. Some people will tell you they are waiting for the right time, and the right time never came. Some people will tell you, I think if I tell him, he's going to pursue me and we won't be married again. Some people, and at the end, what happens is still the breakdown that will happen. So what I am saying in essence is that people will have to get all they should. Our people are not used to talking, telling children everything. They are not even
Mm,
used to telling adults everything. They tell you only what
everything.
they think you want to know. So
So
that
true.
needs to change. They will have to sit down. What has happened has happened. This is how it happened. This is why it
Hmm.
happened. This was my state of mind. This was what was happening in our relationship when it happened. This led to it. All of that. Then you leave them to make the children to make their decision, or that adult to make their decisions and process the information, and give them time to process it and come up with answers for you. And whatever they say, take it, because that's their way of dealing with the problem. If you force the other way around, you
Hmm.
may you may just destroy them and
So
also
true.
yourself. So what I will say is, if you are the one that had caused the damage, just own up, take ownership of the whole situation,
So
apologize,
true.
and that includes what I've just said. Tell everything, especially if they have understanding. That makes it easy for you. Tell them everything. A 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, there is nothing that they don't know. So tell them
Mm,
everything that happened. Own up that, yes, I did this, this was this, this was that. And then after that, you now begin to focus on their needs. What do they need now? Because you are dealing with your own issues. They are children. So the obligation to help them deal with their own is still falling under you. So you have
that's
double
true.
job to do. And you can't
I.
say, well, it affected me too. What do they
Hmm.
want me to do? I'm dealing with my own too. When you started having children, that's what you signed for, that you have taken up responsibility of another human being. So you have to include that on board and make sure that as you're dealing with yours, that you are helping them. If all of you need to go for therapy to deal such thing, usually when people sit at home and want to do it by themselves, they are making an error, because it will
That's
look
true.
like it is sorted, but it's just hibernating. It's not sorted. You will need help to go. Even if you are a coach or a therapist or a counselor, you still
Mm.
need to go and sit before someone else to help you, because at that point, you don't know what you're thinking. So you need to take the whole family. If the children will to accept help, you need to pay for them to go and get the help. You yourself need to get help. Both parties, including the offender. The offender also need help. Like that woman also needs therapy to be able to deal with the situation. In fact, it was a long time ago she needed therapy before the whole thing came out. So she needs to get herself help. And everybody, they can have it as a family or they can have it individually. Either way,
So true.
everybody be sorted. And
So
after
true.
that you are now helping them to do all of that, you have to be consistent, commit to making sure that everything is okay and sorted. That's your job, especially if you are the one that had offended. It's important that whatever you're doing from that time, that you're consistent. Sometimes it will look like they are using you. Sometimes it will be like you are paying for your sins. It depends on how you are looking at it. But what you don't want is to do things because you want to now be seen as a good person or as this.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's where people will start thinking, oh, I have paid my dues. I have done this and that. Is it not enough? So you have to make sure that the people, have they gotten help? If they do, they will release you and you won't have to be working so hard again. So no matter what happens, relationships will break all the time. You can't stop that. It will break. There will be broken relationships, but you have
Mm.
to make sure that you heal and that everybody heals if it is in your power to do that, if you have the opportunity to do that. So they will require time. There will be a lot of effort put in. There will be consistency, unwavering commitment is required for you to be able to love and understand again. And look, you see that example you gave. There are some people that tomorrow they will still be married and those children will still be theirs. And even
Absolutely.
if the father of those children is revealed and he wants the children, between the four of them, the mother, the father, and the children, they will stick and the person will not be able to get them. It happens. We have seen it. So it depends on how it is handled. And that's why I tell people seek help. Just go and get help so that you can, I mean, if you look at the end result, you will go and do whatever it takes for you to get help.
That's so true. I 100% agree with you. I asked this question because what I have noticed over the years is that oftentimes, or whenever anything like this happen, most of the focus or attention is on the parents, the individuals involved. Meanwhile, those that are actually affected are the children, and nobody, they just go under the radar without being noticed. It's as if they do not exist and everything. I have often wondered why don't people think about what the children really feel? Nobody, in my opinion, I've never heard in any show, any television program whatsoever, whereby the children were actually asked what they think about these things. How do they feel about it? They have known a particular father all their lives or a particular mother all their life. All of a sudden, for one reason or the other, their words, just like in the case of the man or the woman, came to an end on that particular day when they got that brutal news, is the same thing for the children. All the man I have called dad or the woman I have called mom all my life, in real sense, it's not my mother. So how, just the same way the man or the woman is betrayed or felt betrayed, I believe for a father, the children will be feeling that thing at the same time. But unfortunately, I've never heard of anyone really taking into consideration the perspective or the thoughts of the children. Or maybe to the best of my knowledge, I haven't come across a thing like that. But I do believe in the discussion that aspect is lacking or not well covered as it should have been. Or maybe it is simply to protect the children. I don't know, but I
Mm.
don't think it is enough not to listen to the children how they feel about it. Before we close our show tonight, there are some comments I would like us to share, or maybe let us just look at them to see if it's something that if we can respond to any of them before we call it a day. There are various, if you permit me, Manachichi, I'll read. There are various levels of deception out there, but when it has to do with deceived maternity or paternity, it is so hard to curtail and apprehend depending on a whole lot of things. Okay, that is from brother Uche Sonny Anthony. And this is from Tiasha, okay, telling us that the internet took her. How about if the kids refuse to accept the man as their dad? Okay, I think this is in reference to what you were explaining earlier on.
Yeah.
That could happen as well.
Yeah,
That
if they are not accepting, there is you can't force them
you
because
can
that's
force
their
them.
choice, and they have to
Yes.
be allowed to deal with the pain and the betrayal also.
Hmm.
Just like, in fact, there is a lady that I know. Um,
Okay.
until her son accepted the man that she was dating. The
Mm.
man was not allowed to be near the child
Okay.
at all.
Oh.
He won't visit the home. They have to go out to see, and there was no introduction of the man to the child.
Mm.
So until the woman was able to get through the child to have that conversation, and it's a child, when they are younger, it's very confusing, and
Yes.
they won't tell you how they feel. They won't tell you what's doing with in their heads, but it's more traumatic than it is with adults. And that's
Absolutely.
something that we need to take into consideration, because our where we come from, children are not had or seen. Nobody regards them. In fact, somebody can just remarry and just drag the children. When you see them dragging custody of children, you are wondering, are they pieces of objects and all
Oh,
that? And
so true.
they will just be using children to settle scores and all of that. They will be with me. It's not that they are better off with you. It's just so you punish the other person. And these are human beings that you are toiling with. So when they grow up, they enter into their own relationships with all those trauma. Some build an understanding of what relationships should be like from that they are coming from. So it's something that needs to be considered. And you said you have not seen where children are considered. A lot of people do consider them. It's
Mm.
just that they don't come, they are not those people that will show up on social
That
media.
will show up
So
on social
they
media.
handle it like the lady I just said. The boy had to accept. You can't just bring them and say, this is uncle this is
Mm.
auntie this, and all that.
Yes.
That's not sufficient, because they are human beings like you, and they will be more confused than you will be. So in
Mm.
a case of betrayal, where it is, these children are not mine, and I have been with them for all my, it's very painful. Let's not even bring it, just water it down. It is, I mean, for someone that is happening to, it's like losing someone. And
Mm.
that's what divorce and separation does. It's like you have
Yes.
lost someone. So it is not something to trivialize at all.
Not
So
at all.
if that has happened, it's huge. And you can just express your anger, your everything, but you have to deal with resentment. You are free to show up, you can cry, you can do whatever feels like it to you, but at the end you need to heal from it for your
Mm-hmm.
own sake, because not healing will cause you more harm than what just happened, and it will
Absolutely.
still happen again. If you didn't get healing, that's another angle to it. If you didn't heal and you are out, there is tendency that you will enter into, it will happen to you again and again until you heal from it. Because when you heal is when you now have self-worth, when you have confidence, when you know who you are, your identity. That's when you will start even planning, thinking about, what am I even here for in the first place on this earth? What's my
Mm.
purpose? Is my purpose aligning with this person, or did the other one happen because our purpose, we are not going the same direction, and obviously at some point we have to part. So now, should I not concentrate and make sure that the next person, we are heading the same way? If you
Yes.
don't deal with it, you can't have these thoughts.
It's
You
not
won't have,
possible.
you won't be able to gather all this line of thoughts and be able
Yes.
to plan well. So that's the importance of healing. We can't overemphasize it, and it starts from you forgiving, and then you start
Forgiving.
dealing. It's not the day you forgive that you will come out and gladly say good morning to them, or how are you, or
Mm.
do something for them. It's not that day, but you walk gradually to the point where it will be effortless for you to do that.
That is true. I share that position perfectly without any doubt at all. But I think this question from Uche Sone Anthony is also very important. Imagine that we have forgiven, you have healed and everything. And we have said that it is also important that we listen to the children. What if the children start vehemently, not maybe even gently, requesting to know who their biological father is? How do you handle that as a man or as a woman if you happen to be in that situation? I think this could end up raising up some issues in the mind of those that are involved or that find themselves in that situation.
So this is how it normally ends for a lot of people. There are
Ah,
just a
okay.
few cases where people are happy to follow on with what they have known all their lives.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the time. In fact, we have even seen that people that didn't amount to anything in people's lives are the
Mm-hmm.
people that they now look for and despise the person that had worked so hard
Giving them
and done
everything.
everything and giving them everything. And it's very confusing sometimes, but that is what usually happens, that you didn't know your biological mother or father. They have never been in your life. Someone had suffered, had stayed awake all night, had made a lot of sacrifices, and one day you find that they are not. In fact, there is one of our zonal pastors in my place that this happened to. I heard about it recently. So
Mm.
the child that they adopted at this moment is a thorn in their flesh, because he
Really?
just discovered that they are not his biological children, parents, and
Parents.
he was taken from cradle, like maybe some days old or something, and
Yes.
they have done everything. You are now a man and you are looking for your biological father. If you ask me why people do that, I may not give you a satisfying answer or response, but that's what happens. Now, if it is happening, back to the answering the question, if you know their father, tell them who their father is. Not telling them the excuses that people give, they don't hold water at all. If you
It may
know,
continue to leave that void in them,
no,
actually.
they do it for their own selfish gains. If you are not selfish and regard the welfare and mental health or the health of those children and their
Mm-hmm.
future that is just beginning, then you are going to tell them who their father is. And if possible, if you know where they are, take them for younger children to meet their father. It's their choice. I have had a case where somebody finally met her father, is a girl, finally met
Okay.
her father and had, stayed with the father, known the father a bit, and decided that she doesn't want the man to be her father, that she is going back to the other father, that
The
that man,
family she has
doesn't
always
want to,
known.
she doesn't want to relate, she doesn't even want to tell her friends that that man is her father. The man doesn't smoke, does not drink, he doesn't like embarrass someone, but she had lived with him and found out, or maybe made comparisons and decided where she wants to belong. So
Be
not giving them the opportunity to do that is selfishness, and it's of the highest level of selfishness. They need to make a choice, just like you had made your own choice to
choice.
be in that situation. They should make their own. If they decide to go with the man, they are still your children, even for the father or mother that is not biologically their parent, is still their parent. If you handle it properly, you are still who you are in their lives. Maybe not to the degree you would expect, but
Mm-hmm.
you are still who you are. But because when you have children, what you do is make sure their future becomes very, very suitable. And
So
if
true.
you now deny them that, you have just removed that part. Your job only is not to give them food and clothes and shelter. There is
Mm-hmm.
more that God is expecting that you do. And don't forget that whether they are yours or not yours, whether they stay with you or not, a time comes when they will leave. They will still leave. They are not going to
Yes.
stay with you forever. There is a time that they will still be in that position they will be if they had gone to their father or to their mother. It would just be visits, calls, and all of that. They are no
L-
longer in your house and yours. So that's
like it
what people
happened in our
don't think
case.
about, you know.
For most of us, we are far away from our parents. We it's
Yeah,
not as if we are still with our parents. So
they
I
should be they
understand.
should be they should be given the opportunity to decide. And if they have
Yes.
decided before even seeing that they are biological parents, without
Mm-hmm.
judging anything, that they want to be with them, that's what it will be. And don't forget that sometimes information will make a lot of difference in the choice that those children will make. So give them all the information, good and bad. Don't withhold anything. Whatever happened, you have taken your blame. You have owned up to your, mistakes and errors. Then tell them everything. Let them know and take what they decide in good faith.
Thank you so very much. In other words, if I understood you perfectly, most of the reasons why most people in this situation don't want these children to know their biological father is purely out of selfishness.
It is.
Otherwise,
And
they have
and
no
and
reason why they shouldn't do it.
no, it's selfishness which goes to revenge, scoring points, trying to be the right person, or punishing someone, which is revenge.
Yes.
You have caused harm and you want to cause further harm. So you are just thinking about yourself only, and
Yes,
that's
chef.
not allowed. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. There is this other Chichi makes it easy. These kind of issues are issues that cause crime of passion. Crime of passion. Okay. I wish I have a big heart like her. No matter the kind of therapy, it's a crack on the wall that can't be fixed.
And
They
I,
even
and
put
I
a
am not
broken heart.
I am not denying that. And that's why I said you have to express how you feel. You can cry, you can feel, anger, you can everything you have to, because that is part of healing. You have to do
Yes.
all of that. But he can ask himself, so if I hold it and commit a crime, you are going to jail, or someone is, I mean, you have to that's why I said at the beginning that
Hmm.
if you have any good gift, will you not give it to yourself?
So true.
Forgiveness is a big gift, and it is not to the other person, it is to
Hmm.
you. If you understand it like that, you will leave them alone and not allow them to take the other thing that is remaining from you, too. They've hurt you. Don't let them also hurt you the more by keeping you in unforgiveness, because it is for your own sake, it's not for them. When you forgive someone, you are not doing them a favor, you are not doing it for them. It's
So
not their
true.
benefit. It's not their benefit at all. The whole benefit, 100% is yours. So you
So
have
true.
to work hard to give yourself whatever it takes to give yourself that benefit so that they don't have undue advantage. That's
Hmm.
what forgiveness is about. So I'm not making it easy. I have been hurt, and I can tell you it's not the best place to be.
To
It's
be.
very hard, and some of them takes time. And sometimes when people hurt you and they are expecting you to say sorry for hurting you, or they are expecting you to be the one initiating this and that, meaning they exonerate themselves from the whole situation, then what should you do? You allow them to keep hurting you? No. But what you can do is, when you have forgiven, put boundaries in place so that
S-
you don't go through that over and over again. And some of
So
these things
true.
can be people that you share a house with. It can be
Hmm.
intimate partners and spouses, intimate relationship. How do you get away without putting boundaries? You have to put boundaries in place, and sometimes those boundaries for intimate relationships could be separation for a while, so
That's
that
true.
things people can negotiate and sort things out before, so that you are not in the thing, the hurt all the time, so you can breathe and have time to heal and then talk from that distance. So sometimes it's necessary, even though it's not, separation and divorce is the last resource for relationship issues. It's not what we advocate. It's not what the first thing that you will tell anyone. It is
Mm.
usually when certain situations are displaying or being placed that you will go allowing that or discussing it. But giving yourself a breathing space and drawing a line is important for every relationship of all levels, including
Yes.
siblings, parents and children, including colleagues, friends, including children and parents, and husband and wife, at all levels.
Absolutely.
If you leave
Absolutely.
people, they will step on your toes, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly,
Unknowingly.
because everybody are not at the same pace in understanding in life. So you have to take that on board and make sure that you protect yourself. And that does not mean that when you now have opportunity of other relationships, that you judge them based on the former relationships. And that doesn't mean that when you now maybe broke up and you find another love, that you start tiptoeing and not trusting them because somebody else did you harm. Some people are not there to harm you, and
So
not
true.
everybody will harm you. So you have to give people benefit of doubt, but when they take it for granted, then you draw a line. That one is
Absolutely.
power, and make sure that it's not taken. If you stay also in such relationship until that power for you to draw a line is taken, that's when you are in trouble. So make sure you don't stretch it and allow hurt and betrayal to last longer than necessary until you lose your power to now say no. And learn some
Wh-
languages, put them in
Which
your,
is not healthy.
some languages that, no, I understand how you feel. I know how important this is to you, but I can't be coerced into doing this because I don't feel comfortable doing it. Or okay, I've heard you. I need some time to think about it so that you can go and build your confidence to respond. Learn
So
some
true.
languages that can help you. That's my advice.
That's so important. I share that completely. And just to reiterate for those, for our listeners and our followers, as Pedro Apollo's podcast, our intention is not only to relate with you some stories or simple discussion, but to be able to provide practical guide and steps, even professionally, by inviting somebody of the caliber of Chichi Igwe on a show like this to be able to give you practical advice on issues like this. So it's not as if she makes it easy. She makes it easy for you to, as a form of solution, a practical guide for you to be able to apply in your situation if you happen to be in one. So that's something that should be appreciated, and I'm so happy that she give her time and everything to be here for us tonight. Thank you so much again, madam. I really appreciate. Some questions are still coming in. I will crave your indulgence to remain for a minute again for us to go through it, because I believe whoever wrote a particular question with your presence on the show tonight, they really would like to hear from you directly. If you don't mind, I'll keep going with the questions, please, ma'am.
Okay.
And children come first. Sometimes you have to put your needs aside for the sake of the children. That's exactly what Mother Chichi said earlier on. The whole essence of her discussion was all about that. I think we all agree with this. And the next one is, indeed, these things are messy situation that leaves people so broken, and regular clients to therapists. Okay. What do you say, madam?
Okay, I will start with Taja's own
Okay.
because we have said children are important and their
Yes.
needs are our responsibilities,
Yes.
including their emotional and mental health
Name.
needs. I also
Yes.
want to balance it up that
Oh,
you also don't have to, die because of the children.
children.
So sometimes when things are overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
there are some states you will be in and you are jeopardizing your own life and essence of living. So
Okay.
if you find yourself in that situation, basically to be able to help somebody else, you need to have enough help. You need to be whole for you to be able to help someone else get to that level. So
So
if
true.
you find yourself in a position where it's overwhelming, it means that you have not enough capacity for the situation in front of you. So maybe that situation is increasing or growing. You also have to grow capacity to deal with it. And that's where you need help. If you are there, make sure that you don't empty until you have nothing. Because when you get there, you can't help yourself, you can't help those children. So that's why I tell some people that it is fallacy to say I remained in this abusive relationship because of my children. It is, I mean, some people disagree with me, but I know that you can make sacrifices, but sometimes some things are more than sacrifices. And we
So
know
true.
that is the living that do all of these things we are talking about. If
So
you
true.
end up not being alive, life will go on, and those
The
children
story
will
is
not
over.
suffer. They will suffer more than when you are there. So that's on that part.
Mm-hmm.
The second question, is that a question?
Mm.
And it's not really a question. So we have been on about it, like it's a messy situation, we know. In fact, sometimes it's a tragic situation.
Situation.
And
So true.
sometimes it's pitiable. You will look at it and wonder, can this be remedied? But that question is because an attempt had not been made to remedy
Mm-hmm.
it. And sometimes you learn on the go. You just see results as you go. You just have to start one step and leave the consequences. Just at least tell yourself you tried. Start resolving it. and sometimes you'll be shocked the result that you will get. So as as uh, as just terrible and pathetic as it will be, none of them has no remedy. It's
Mm-hmm.
only if the people are willing to try. And I do
Yes.
say to my people that come to me, I say to them, like, look, two people don't have to show up. Two people don't have to be willing to resolve it. Two people don't have to put in effort. Yes, it is better, but if one of you is resolved to make it happen, it will be
Mm.
okay. So you just do the one that you have to do. Sometimes is enough. And sometimes we have found that along the line, the other person will now see the conduct of the other and follow suit. So that's how it happens sometimes. So try to see that it is resolved and then leave the rest. Whatever happens, you tell yourself you tried and make sure you remove yourself from harm, whether emotional, psychological, physical, spiritual, either way, mentally. Make sure that you are sound, because that's the only time you can even help another
Other
person
people.
even thrive. So there is no situation that you can remedy, nothing that you cannot forgive, but it is hard. We have acknowledged that. And we have
Yes.
acknowledged one thing is hard. Two is that it takes time and effort, and that people should be allowed that time as long as it takes. People should be given that opportunity to deal with it in their own way with help and support. Don't say,
Yes.
I have been, did I not ask you for forgiveness? Since you are still this, you are still that. You are not them. They have to deal with it. You wait. You have to wait for them to deal with
So
it.
true.
So
So
don't
true.
force them to now become normal again towards you. Don't force them to now trust you again. In fact, that is what a lot of people do. And
Mm-hmm.
especially between husbands and wives, and people that betray their loved ones and people they are in intimate relationship with, they expect that they will be trusted immediately back. And
Again.
I think the reason they do that is because those kind of relationships don't really thrive without trust. But you have to think about it after that. I don't mean before, because what
Mm.
has happened. That is gone. But going forward, because the person with time, if you have proven that you can be trusted, can trust you again. But it's now your responsibility to make sure that you take that into consideration, that this relationship need trust to work. Therefore, I'm not going to break it again, because that effort has to come from everybody for it to work. So let's not think that I don't want to work on it. It's not remediable. It's too much to
Mm.
forgive. It's not this. What you are saying is that it is too much of a sacrifice or of a gift to give to myself. So I deny myself this gift. That's the way to interpret it. And I'm sure
That's,
that's not really what we want.
that's true. That's so true. The next question said, putting our needs aside as Petiasha include controlling our sexual stealing need, because if something goes wrong, life and destinies are at stake. Jesus Christ. I think this question is referring to the instance of the children being given birth to in the first place. Because if everybody was to put their need aside, if nothing transpired between the man and the woman whatsoever, the destinies or whatsoever wouldn't be here, wouldn't be in question in the first place. Yeah, but this is life. Life happens. We are not here to judge anybody. We want to be able to treat this issue with the state of things at the moment. So going back to how these things even come in place, I think it will take us away from the purpose and the mission of tonight's show. However, it is recognized some mistake has happened. However, that mistake happened, if we had to litigate that tonight, it it will not be helpful for anybody. But I think if the parties involved has come to the realization, look, there was an error. This is the actual state of things at the moment. How do we go forward from here? I think we as a society should be able to work with them to resolve that issue at the moment.
Yes.
Because we can't blame the children. We can't even blame the woman right now because just like you said, Madam Chiche, is that if the woman had to start explaining the reason why she made that decision, the state of mind she was and everything, and we'll be here the whole week. Nobody will live here, first of
Yeah.
all. And
And we
secondly,
may make some discoveries too. It doesn't mean
good,
that she is right. Remember, when we say forgive, we are not condoning the act. We
per-
are all.
perfect
We are not in agreeing with it. But
with it.
so sometimes when people are in that situation, there is no need now to score points. There is no
Mm,
need to it's already happened. The best thing
yes,
is to remedy it. And I think also that people should think that in this relationship, whichever level of relationship, I have a part to play. It's
yes,
also dependent on me to make sure that it works. I don't want to leave it for just one person because one
not at
person
all.
can't sustain it. It's only a matter of time. So if
Not
you
at
are
all.
in a relationship, take responsibility, own up
As
to
well.
your faults, and make amends. You know, the lady that had these children that said the man accepted the pregnancy because he is married to me. Is trying to, like, you are the one that went and got pregnant. You didn't contain your libido. You went
Mm,
and slept with someone else, no matter the circumstance, which sometimes there are circumstances. And you cannot turn around then and blame the person for not asking. Between two
yeah.
of you, you are the one that should come and tell. You are not, why will somebody ask about something they have no knowledge about? And now
About.
that's what they now call gaslighting. You committed a
Yes.
crime and you are the one putting it on another person to carry your blame. So that is something that is happening a lot of times, and people
Hmm.
should know that the responsibility is yours. In fact, sometimes there are some situations you have to be held accountable for another person's certain behaviors. So you have to make sure, and I say that with a pinch of salt before people will quote me.
Yeah.
I know what I mean. Maybe I can't explain it, but in a relationship, you are watching each other's back. So you have to be able to do that. Some relationships, there is a man, there is a woman. A woman is just sitting there saying, I'm a virtuous woman. I am a
Mm,
nice person. I want to be seen as a good woman. So whatever he does is fine until it's no more fine. That means
yes.
he can be doing it to other people until he does it now to you, then it's no more fine. So you have to hold that person accountable because their fall is your fall. Their win is
Absolutely.
your win. And that's what I mean. Sometimes you have to pay attention, find out
Hmm.
what they are doing. It's not enough to be in a relationship and something goes wrong and you exonerate yourself unless you didn't know, like in the case of politicians, that they will be maltreating people, embezzling funds, and their wives are going on holidays, shopping, spending money, their children, grown-up children, they are and they are not asking, dad, why did you do this? Why did you treat this
Mm,
person like this? I'm not, as a wife, you have the right to shout, I'm not part of this. But you are
yes.
part of it until it's no more going well. And you
Okay.
say, it's not me that did it. No, you are part of the people that did it. So that's
So
what I
true.
mean.
That,
Everybody is responsible for that relationship to work, and take
that
it
is true.
like that so that it can, work out.
That is so true. That is so true. The the next question is, this is painful, having a vivid imagination of unfaithfulness that coupled to this extent. Okay. That's a extension of what we have just said. earlier on. Look, guys, if we had to start litigating how things got to this place, we will not go further. And it is not helpful for anyone that is in that situation today or that may be in the situation tomorrow. Let us, it is very easy to start pointing fingers. It is very, very easy to start pointing fingers because, mind you, whoever did that, maybe if we actually sit down and hear his or her part of the story, I am surprised. I will not be surprised that some of us may even agree with whatever they may come up with as the reason why they did what they did. This is just like Chichi said, this is not to say that we agree with what happened or disagree with what happened. We are 100% neutral here. We just want to be able to make peace with whatever, with those that are affected rather. And in this case, I am being particular about the children or whoever the supposed victim is all about. But this is not to say that I support Nedu S-wife that said, why did he just assume that the child is for him? That kind of arrogance is not what we are supporting here. I don't even want to listen to that at all. I may be as gentle as anything concerned. No, there are some places, some issues where we have to maintain a clear boundary. We are not talking about that. But for anyone that has actually recognized the fact that they were at fault, they did what they were not supposed to do, and this has put their trust or their destiny into question, that is what we are trying to resolve here tonight. Okay. The next question, exactly when children are involved, this takes another level. Yeah, everybody, we can all agree because at the end of the day, like I said earlier on, most of the time we focus on the man and the woman or whoever betrayed us, the colleague, the mating. But if, for instance, someone unintentionally or intentionally say things in a place of work to take a job or end someone's career in an unfortunate situation that is not supposed to have been, the consequence of that is the family behind it, behind that particular worker in that particular place. So most of those things have chain reaction. Just like in life, any action that we take, whatever we do, have consequence on people that are even far away from us. So I want us to have that in our mind because we are here talking tonight. It's not as if we are perfect. There may be some things that we are doing that those around us do not like. I made an example with my case earlier on, why I was very displeased with the way the thing goes. But if I had intentionally done anything evil to that person, of course, there are consequences to it. Maybe the person may suffer mental health. I don't know the state of mind of everybody around me. I may know who I am. It is not practically possible for me to know what everybody around me is going through. If someone slept well, maybe someone didn't sleep last night, maybe they have some personal battles in their life that I am not aware of. So I think it is dependent upon us as well as a person to be careful as well with the way, quote and unquote, how we treat those around us as well, either intentionally or intentionally, because in as much as we are not perfect, some actions that we take may not be very pleasing to those around us as well. I'm just trying to be on a neutral ground to everyone listening to us. I'm sorry to hear that you've been hurt. We hope this episode help you in any way and that continue your healing journey with positivity. Thank you for your contribution. Okay. That is coming from Tiasha. I don't really know who that was directed to. What Uche said is that you need to be mindful. Okay, sometimes fulfilling your silly need puts your children in danger emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. Do you agree, Madam Chichi?
So putting your, what did they say?
You know, Uche was
Sometimes,
saying at times when people step out of their marital or in their relation and child happen to come out of it and their partner didn't know,
yeah,
it's just
yes,
them taking advantage of their sexual need or whatsoever.
yeah. Not only sexual need, a lot of other needs.
Mm.
Some people, what drives them is not sex, it's other things. Some people is even shopping. It's just clothes. So So
Really?
some people can do anything just to shop for brands and the
Oh
designers.
my
So it's
God.
different
iPhone
things for
16.
some people can die just to have a brand new car, something like
Oh
that.
my
So it's
God.
different things for different people. But I mean, that is what. But I always like to draw a line between being selfish and also living.
Mm,
Sometimes some people can go to one extreme and the other people to another extreme. Some people can just stay because of the children, they now lose their own lives. And some
yes.
people can just leave the children, not care or bother, and think of themselves only. So we need to draw a balance between the two. To what extent do you tolerate that? Do you have to tolerate an abuse? Do you have to tolerate this kind of treatment? Does it have to keep happening, distrust, and you are there because of the children? Or do you have to talk about it and think of yourself also in the situation? If you are not able to deal with it and one day you break down or you are not around anymore, what
Mm,
happens to the children? So all of these are things that need to be balanced. There is no one extreme that is good. You have to make sure that as you think about yourself, you think of the children and sometimes even the person in question. So you have to be in that space. No, there is no way around it. Once you are in that situation, work is required of you. A lot of sacrifice is required of you. There are some things that you have to tone down, some things you have to tone up. And I will say that make sure that you take your personal development seriously if you are in that situation, because they are part of those things that can help you get to the point where you will know the right decision to make. Because a lot of times the decisions we make in these situations are not really the best of decisions and choices.
yeah.
And that's why someone will be affected along the line. If we take some time to develop ourselves and to grow to the point that we will make a right choice, everybody will be fine to the best of our ability, of course. So I can't say you cannot meet your needs or you cannot live your life because of children. And I can't say while you are living your life, just leave the children alone because it's your life that is more important. No, you can't do either of them.
Madam, before I let you go, there is this question that in the preparation of this show comes along over and over again. All of these things that we are talking about, whether man or woman, everything, I don't think there is this problem. Betrayal and trust issue has nothing to do with gender. But what I want to know is, does this have to do with our family upbringing? Like, if using S. Nedu wife as a case study, what does that say about her? Is that her attitude? Does it have to do with her upbringing or
Okay.
whatsoever?
Okay. So I know someone is who went into marriage believing that men should not be left alive, that all men should be used and done with. I mean, and this is a strong belief system that she grew up with. So, in that situation, what is the spouse supposed to do? And
Nothing.
did they actually know that this person holds this belief system before marrying them? Of course not. And
No.
did they actually dig into the family line to find out what it's like? Of course not. So some things happen for some people and they feel obligated to make sure that they continue the relationship or something like that. So today is we know that family of upbringing influence has a lot of influence, and those influences are strong influences because they are not influences that we got from friends when we are already grown or from church or from this. The influences that people have when they were little, when they were still at their impressionable state, when they are developing,
Yes.
those ones are strong because that's how they believe life should be. And that's why, because of the relationship of this young lady with her mom, with the father, she believes that men should
Men
not
should be
be
used.
allowed to be like their only use is to procreate. And once it is done, there is no use for them.
Need for it
Yeah.
anymore.
And it is still so. And you now wonder the harm that the mom had done to her. Or it could be the father, the other way around, the harm that the
Yes.
father had done to this child. And now think of what her life is playing out to be. Does she have peace? Is she
I,
happy?
I
Does
will
she,
agree
I mean,
no.
and this does not stop from her. It is also going to the children, because that's the same thing that the children will keep hearing and hearing
Yes.
every time there is a quarrel, every time there is a misunderstanding. They will keep hearing that men are useless. There's no use for them. They should not be left to live. They should not this. And they are still children at that impressionable age. They grow with. So this is just a very vicious cycle that anyone that is intentional, I am not saying that is easy. And some people will try and it's so hard, but they have to keep trying. Giving up is not the choice. You keep trying. Some people may fight today and say, I will never fight again in front of these
Mm,
children. I will not, it doesn't matter if it's in their front or not. I will not fight again. And 6 months down the line, you are doing again. Don't give up. Already you know the right thing. That's what is
yes.
important. Just keep walking towards it, because it will pay off at the end. If you give up, then you have given up a line of generations, everything about them, because it will play out. And I mean, people, we are getting to a point where some families, some children will not be marriable because of their family line, their bloodline. It's not what they did. They did nothing. But people will not want to associate with them
So
because
true.
of their parents, their families, and their inheritance. So we have to be mindful of that and make sure that we heal, we deal with traumas, we deal with hurts, we deal with betrayals, including infidelity, whatever it is that hurts so much, deal with it so that you can live and also raise children that are whole. So they don't go out and think that's the way I should be treated. It's okay for someone to treat me this way because that's what is happening. Or they now hurt another person deeply because they think it's normal. That is not a problem. So I know that it plays a lot of role in what we become, family upbringing. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, even if you come with a family that is dysfunctional, you're an adult now. Fix it,
Yes.
deal with it. If you don't like it, fixing it becomes a journey that you have already gone halfway. If you
Yes.
think it is normal, then you can fix it. So if you're
So
an
true.
adult coming from this background that you have drunkards, stay away from alcohol. That's dealing with it. You stay away from anywhere that you'll be tempted to drink alcohol.
Mm.
That's boundary in place. And that's a sacrifice you have to make to change a cycle. It depends on you. You
So
cannot make
true.
excuses that is because of what I inherited. No. Now, what are you doing about it?
So true. Thank you so very much, madam. I'm so grateful. And if you want to get in touch with Chiche Igwe, please give her a DM. She's on Instagram, Chiche Igwe, and her podcast come up every Thursday, every week, 8
Instagram
p.m.
is Chichi Igwe 6.
Chiche
Facebook
Igwe
is
says,
Chichi
okay,
Igwe 6. Yeah,
okay,
the handles, I mean.
all right,
And on,
perfect.
on YouTube is Chichi Igwe together. At Chichi
Together,
Igwe
perfect.
together, yes.
Chiche Igwe,
And
and she's
I'm
on
also on
TikTok as
TikTok.
well.
Yeah, It's
Perfect.
Chichi with 6. Yeah.
So for anything that has to do with family and finance and relationship, please hit her up. And just as you have seen on the show tonight, she will be able to guide you to prosperity where you can have that joyful and wonderful relationship that you so desired. And like you've heard from her tonight, the best or your greatest weight is your relationship. So if you want to turn your life around and want to do something meaningful with your life and your in your endeavors, please hit up Madam Chichi Igwe. Yes, she say Madam to me. I call her Madam, but her name simply is Chichi Igwe. So
Are you Sabi?
it's just my way of describing her because she's so dear to me. And my special thanks to each and every one of you tonight for staying with us till this very moment. And I hope that Madam has been able to do justice to all of your questions. It was for me, and it is always a pleasure and a learning experience anytime she's on our show. So thank you so very much, Madam. I'm so grateful.
Thank you for having me on
And
your show again. Thank you.
as always, or like I've always said, you have an open invite to Pedro Apollo's podcast. So we are never going to
Okay.
close that. It's a blank invite. So you are free to put in the date and the time whenever you want to come on board. And if you do
Thank
not,
you.
like they say, if mountain do not go to Muhammad, Muhammad will go to mountain. So if you are not
Thank you
coming,
so much.
we'll come calling. It's a pleasure for me tonight, Madam. I'm really grateful. And thank you to each and everyone that has stayed with us tonight. It's a pleasure as always. And until next time, bye for now. Ciao,
Bye bye.
ciao.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.